For ACUsports.com, I'm Grant Boone talking some Wildcat football here with the Wildcats getting set to take on Houston Baptist for the very first time on Saturday down in Houston. We've got head coach Ken Collums and we've got senior offensive lineman Josh Perez. Josh, let's start with you from Rio Hondo, not too terribly far from where you grew up. You'll have a few folks there this week?
Yes, sir. My brother and a couple of his buddies are going to travel up to Houston, about a 6-hour drive from Rio Hondo, and be there for the game.
You know, you got here from Rio Hondo. You were part of a high school team that went to the playoffs for the first time in forever down there, and you guys had some great success. You were on a great team your senior season. Then you get to ACU. How did you wind up at ACU? Tell me a little, just the quick story about the recruiting process and then getting here to ACU. It
was quite interesting. It was about, I remember it perfectly, it was about a week before signing day, and I hadn't heard nothing about Abilene Christian before. They called me. They wanted to see my film. Sent them the film. They liked it. A day later, they called me, flew me up here, and it was a quick transition. Saw the school. Then I made my decision and signed here, and I didn't know what to expect, and I've enjoyed every single moment of it.
You know, you've been part of some tremendous teams at ACU. As you look back over your 4 years now as you're a senior, give me maybe a special moment, either on the field or maybe something off the field with one of your teammates, or maybe one of each.
My favorite moment thus far is the West Texas in 2010. The great environment and just the comeback and the fight that we had that year. We were down 27-13. I remember the score exactly. We just threw the interception and they took it back to pick six, and we just fought back and we talked about it at halftime, and it was just a great game that we came back and won.
Yeah. And those are moments that they stay with you, don't you? I mean, even guys who were on that team who've moved on, you still talk about it with them, don't you?
Oh, yeah. We still, Mitchell Gale and Ben Gibbs and all of us, we still talk about those wonderful memories that we still have.
3 straight losses for your team. What's been the most frustrating part about these last 3 weeks? All close losses.
The most frustrating thing has to be that they were all winnable games, and just the fact that we're just in these games and we just need to find a way just to finish, and I think that's what we're working on right now, and just the fight and determination that we get out of these games, we're going to continue just to get better.
All right, let's talk to your coach here, Ken Collums. Coach, the last couple of years, let's say, there's been some, let's say, fluidity, some flux on your offensive line. One of the guys you haven't had to worry about is this guy to my right. He started, I think, the 30 of his last 31 games here, and you've asked a lot of him. You've moved him around some.
Oh, no doubt. Wherever you put Josh Perez, he's going to do well. He is a fierce competitor. He's naturally strong. He is totally bought into who we are, what we're doing, and I don't care if we had to move him to tackle. He'd get out there and battle and probably do pretty good, even though he's never played tackle here. But whether it's at guard or center, we know we're a little better team with him at guard, and it doesn't mean that this morning we probably didn't talk about playing him at center. So you never know. And the thing is he knows that you know what, I'm gonna play wherever they put me, and I'm gonna give him a good shot. But he is the rock on our offensive line, and we all of us coaches and anybody that's been around him just has a tremendous amount of respect for the guy.
Yeah. Let's talk about your opponent this week, Houston Baptist, very first year playing football. A new rival here in the Southland Conference. They've had an interesting schedule so far. They play a game, they'll take a week off, play a game, take another week off. They're going to play 7 games. There are some similarities, aren't there, from what they're trying to do and what you're trying to do? You're trying to go from D2 to D1. They're trying to build something from scratch.
Sure. Well, the struggles, it's all a transition for both teams. The struggles are a little bit different, though. They're trying to still figure out and learn about their team. Just from the ground level, they've only played 3 games together in their existence of their football program, and so the coaches are still getting to know the players, because you can learn who they are and what they are in practice, but once those silk pants are put on, it's a little bit different. It changes kind of the complexion of how that guy plays, how he reacts to adversity. Some guy just really put him on his back. What's he going to do now? And coaches and players are still learning about players. We know what we're doing. We know where we've got to go in recruiting, and it's just a different point. In the process.
Seeing what you have seen in those 3 games, they played Sam Houston State, lost handily. Then they beat a couple of NAIA teams. What have you seen from them on film?
Well, I know that they're getting better every single week. You know, I think they're doing it the right way. You play a game, you take a week off. Play. Now, I don't know that I would have chosen Sam Houston for my very first game as a college football team, but you can tell they're getting better, and they've got some pretty good players. It's just they're trying to be basic. They're trying not to put their guys in a bad spot with trying to guru too much stuff. And they've got some good coaches. I mean, they know what they're doing, and they're smart about what they're doing, and you can tell they're disciplined about what they're doing. Offensively, they're pretty multiple. Defensively, they're pretty simple. 4 down, 3 down, a couple of blitzes, but they add blitzes every single week, just like normal teams do. But we'll have to be sharp, and that's the goal. And what I've been telling these guys, after 3 losses, it's been a long time since ACU's lost 3 games in a row. So
2005.
Yeah, 2005, and we weren't all that great that year. That was that's where a lot of these gray hairs came from. Me and Thompson together. It's like, whoo, man, that's rough. But the bottom line is, we tell these guys the best way to medicate this is to go out and win a game. Let's go beat somebody up. Let's get another W that'll put you on the right track, and it'll change the complexion of the way everybody's feeling. But we're having great practices. I mean, it's great weather outside in Abilene, Texas. Pretty awesome. We're taking advantage of it. Guys are upbeat, so we're not. There's no defeated type feeling out there. I mean, we tell them all the time, you guys are overcomers, man, and you just overcome. And you guess this is a little bit about life. This is kind of like life. Yeah. You're in there, but you don't quite get it done, and which is obviously not good enough. But we'll get back on the track.
Well, you followed that losing streak in 2005 with a pretty nice run over some nationally ranked teams that year in 2005, and that really set the stage, didn't it, for that great run you had the next year?
Oh, with the momentum that we had at the end of 2005, that was, and really nobody could see that coming. Yeah. It's just kind of the complexion of a team started changing right in front of us, and then we started getting more buy-in. These things start changing a little bit, and which set us up for basically what we are today.
Should be a lot of fun this weekend in Houston. It's a 7:30 kickoff. It's a game that's going to be televised on Comcast in Houston. 7 o'clock pregame show with Lance Fleming and myself. Have a big pregame tailgate party. One of those guys from 2005 might show up, I'm hearing. Danielle Manning.
Yeah, I heard of
Whatever
him.
happened to him? I think he's playing. In fact, Daryl Richardson of the Rams, who plays Danielle and the Texans on Sunday. We might see a cameo from both of those at the pregame party. You're invited. Hope you can make it down there to the tailgate. And then for the game, ACU against Houston Baptist, 7:30 at BBVA Compass Stadium right there in downtown Houston. For Josh Perez and for Coach Ken Collums, I'm Grant Boone for ACUSports.com.